This is the Bob Cordaro Show on TV.
They fought for us, now he'll fight for you. The pursuit of justice and liberty. It's the Bob Cordaro Show on TV.
Road Scholar Transport, a higher standard.
Great, good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm Bob Cordaro, and this is the Bob Cordaro Show on TV. How original. Today we're joined. It's an interesting project. I've been talking to people from the Providence Pregnancy Center. It's sort of brand new, and it's for I'm going to have them tell you about it, but it's sort of new, but it's a project that's important to young, very often unwed, but in many instances desperate mothers trying to deal with their pregnancies, trying to deal with young children immediately after birth, all kinds of things, and families of unwed mothers and so forth. Just a really important need in the community. And I'd been talking to them on the radio, and I thought, this is really important. I think we've got to sort of expand it on TV. And there are a lot of things we can show you in this program that we will show you through the program. And I've got Jessica Freyne, and I've got Angela Cianci, and we're going to talk about this Providence Pregnancy Center. First of all, ladies, welcome. Great to have you here. I'm so happy to talk about Providence Pregnancy Center. First, Jessica, tell me about it, its founding, its mission, in a general sense.
Sure. So just about a year ago, we realized that something more needed to be done in this neighborhood in Scranton for moms facing a crisis pregnancy, choosing to choose life and continue with their pregnancy, but then lacking resources. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to respond to a culture that currently isn't so kind when it comes to pregnancy. There's a lot of politicizing of abortion and pregnancy. And what we've come to learn is that abortion has a face and that women are in need of real help, mm-hmm. regardless of where you stand on the issue. So what we are here for is to help women once they're pregnant, they're in crisis, they need help, they need real help. We started researching and visiting maternity homes. And one of the things we found out is that there's no maternity homes. If you're a pregnant mom and say you already have a 2-year-old, there's no place for you to live with your 2-year-old. Mm-hmm. So there is maternity housing. There's 4 beds available for Scranton, but none of them are for moms with children. The other thing we found out is in our community, being a college town, right, with Scranton University and Marywood and other local community colleges, none of them provide housing for moms who are pregnant and then choose life and have a baby. So like, for example, say Scranton University, you can stay on campus while you're pregnant, but then as soon as you give birth, you have to leave. So I see that as a big problem.
Yeah. So there's a dual problem. Number one is the problem of generally unwed women who are pregnant, but crisis pregnancies writ large. And then after the baby's born, mm-hmm. and then if you've already got a child. So you found these issues. And Angela, you're involved with this. There's a project that is near and dear to your group that we're going to talk a little bit about today. Tell us about.
Well, one of the things, like she was mentioning, I was very surprised when I came on board. I got very much involved, very surprised to find out that this was an actual ongoing need at the colleges in the area. A lot of the people that we've talked to at different colleges, they want to help support their students, but they are not equipped to do it. And it seems to be a rising problem with students choosing life and not being able to continue their education. So
It's hard to have a child in a dorm.
Absolutely. They do not want to be
the best setting.
not the best scenario for a child. So that was really surprising to me. And I did not realize that statistic that if a woman already has a child, that they would have to be separated from their small child in order to stay somewhere while they're pregnant. To me, that's an atrocity. And that's a shame. So this center that we're moving forward on is filling a niche that will dovetail with other services that are available in our county, that there are a lot of great services that we will be able to all help each other and become a much larger and bigger picture for everyone involved. We started off thinking small, that we were going to have a smaller facility, and it just kept getting delayed, and we were going in that direction. And we had an extraordinary opportunity dropped in our lap for a much larger facility that is right in the neighborhood we need it to be in. Through the generosity, I don't know if you want to talk about this or if you want me to talk about the funeral home.
I want to go step back and just talk for a moment, because that's the project we're going to focus on. But I want to talk about Providence Pregnancy Center and the services it offers, Jessica. Tell us about the center and its initial mission.
Sure. So for the center, it's not necessarily just for moms who need housing. This is for any resources that a pregnant mom would need throughout her pregnancy, and then once she has a baby, say up to 12 months. So we offer diapers and wipes, pregnancy testing, crisis counseling, community referrals, really just support. What I'm finding is that crisis pregnancy, oftentimes the mom, it stems from other crises in her life, like a lack of a father in the home, a lack of a relationship with her mother, grandmother. Gone are the generations where mothers had, new families had grandma at home to help with the new children. That's gone. So now, if you're 20 years old and you're pregnant and your mom is absent, what do you do? Who do you turn to? Right. And, there's plenty of resources that will give you A, B, and C. Okay, you can come here on this day for diapers. But who actually accompanies these women through this process and really offers them friendship, support, that motherly role? That's really what we want to tailor who we are and in relation to pregnant moms.
Yeah. And out of wedlock children is a huge issue. I would say problem, but it isn't when it's addressed. But it's a huge issue that needs to be addressed, out of wedlock mothers and mothers to be in this case.
And it's a systemic repeat pattern. It's something that it's a repeat. It's something that we're finding now, these generations that are coming forward, that's what they've experienced, and they don't know any better. And to be able to offer them, this doesn't have to be a crisis. This could be a blessing.
Yeah.
It's a matter of changing your perspective and having the support to grow in maturity and emotional maturity to meet that crisis and turn it into a blessing. And they are ill-equipped to do that because, again, like she was saying, we've lost the days where there's generational support for things. There just isn't anymore. And now we're trying to pick up the pieces on the other end.
So the need is great. And you're only one of a number of groups and whatever, but that's filling the gap, that's stepping up to the plate. But a very critical point. How many people have you served to date?
Well, we started our first year before we had our pregnancy center while we were fundraising, and we didn't actually have a location. We were holding monthly drives where moms could come. So it was like the first Wednesday of every month, they would come to our church and we'd interview them over the phone because we didn't have a place to meet in person and find out what their needs were. So whether it be clothing or diapers or maternity clothes, and then they would come. But it was kind of all at once. Everyone, there was sometimes up to 25 women coming within like an hour period. So we didn't get much of an opportunity to really get to know them. And that's when we realized we needed the center and open that. Now we're open Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 to 4. And then we also open up depending on their schedule. If it doesn't fit in those hours, we'll open up and meet them there. Yeah. But as far as numbers go, I mean, I'd say 30 moms a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's 30 lives in addition to the mothers.
That's right.
And wow, that's a big deal. So in this process, you're teaching them how to handle the pregnancy, but you're also starting to teach them how to be mothers.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The whole point of the pregnancy center is not just to hand out diapers and give material assistance. That's the easy work. It's to build relationship so that they have somewhere to come to and see a good role models around them so that they can become better mothers. That's our mission.
Yeah.
It's to build them up. It's not to be a handout or a charity. I mean, everything we do is in love, but it's to help build them up to become better mothers and eventually gain independence and be good moms and good citizens, and hopefully then go on to have good relationships and get married one day. And,
And the Providence Pregnancy Center that you operate out of now is on Brick Avenue in North Scranton,
right?
Correct?
Right.
So you've been doing this for a year and a half or thereabouts, and you realize this is more. There's an additional issue and sets of issues that have to be dealt with.
It's the tip of the iceberg.
Places for them to live now, whether they're fleeing or need protection from an abusive relationship or a dangerous setting that they're in. And then also that they already have young children, and that's got to be dealt with. So a second pregnancy, maybe a third. So your group, the Providence Pregnancy Center, said, we've got to do more. We've got to broaden our services. And you brought along a film, and I'm going to show it now, and then we'll come back on the other side and talk about it for the facility that you're in the process of purchasing and developing just for that aim.
Yes.
Okay. We'll come back after this. Well, that film told you a lot. It told me a lot, but we want to continue with Jessica and Angela. This new project dealing with that we just showed the video from, and Dan Simrel did that, which is great. It tells us what you're envisioning, but why don't you say it in your own words now as we follow up? Sure.
So that property is on almost an acre of property. It has 2 houses. One of them, total in the 2 houses is 10 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms. So the one house, the intent is to make for moms that are enrolled in college. So they live very different lives. I'd say a mom who's pregnant who doesn't have any children, as in compared to a mom who's been a single mother, who's not enrolled in college, who's struggling. So we want to have 2 separate spaces for them. So the second home would be for moms who already have children so that they could live together. There's also an office space building on site. And what we hope to do with that is make it into a thrift store so that we can pay for our ongoing overhead expenses of operating the facility. The idea is that moms can stay there throughout their whole pregnancy and then up to 12 months after giving birth. This, I think, gives them really enough time to get their head on straight, to either pick up a trade, right? So we get them into a trade school, or maybe they have to finish their GED, maybe they have to continue in school, or they just have to go straight into the workforce. But it takes time to do those things and then to get stable and to save money. So we want to give them enough time. This isn't like a shelter setting, like say a homeless shelter where you have 30 days and then you're out. The whole idea is to get them solid independence. And then in that time, they're modeling to one another, and we're modeling to them what it's like to live both in community, but then to also be a parent, to be a good parent, right? So yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah. Angela, it's really will be your family. Providence Pregnancy Center will be your family or part of it.
And the old axiom where it takes a village to raise a child, that's kind of, what this is.
We're the village. We
are the village. We are offering to be the village. And to that end, we have had enormous community support with other businesses coming forward and saying, we see the need for this. And especially, like I said, I was very surprised when I talked to colleges that they want to support this. They want to help with this because they do see a need for it. Yeah. And many businesses have come forward, and we're very grateful. Like we have Giant Floor, Pete, good friend of ours. He's a wonderful guy. He and Mark, they say that this is a great thing. Our community needs this. They're coming forth to support. We have people coming forth with labor, in many different ways, either with materials or trades. We have some colleges interested to support us with trades, to rehab the space. We want to try to maximize the design of it, that we can utilize it, that it's easily transformable. It's a large amount of space that we can use for different purposes and be able to transform it rapidly. So we have, a lot of different ways that we plan to use the property.
Because there will be people moving in and out.
Yes, so. And you never know how many you're going to have. And, like she said, immediately could house 10. But it could be designed in such a way that we could house way more than that need be and use the space according to whatever the needs are. The exciting thing about we would be able to move the center on Brick Avenue and have it there. We'd be able to have staff there, to have support for the women while they're there. It's just changing their perspective and changing the lifestyle that they have only been exposed to, and allowing them to see that there is a different way and that this is a huge blessing and it's a gift. And if they can get to that point and embrace that, and then, offering them a way to rehabilitate, to be part of a community.
Yeah. Let's go back to the beginning. And we're going to talk about more of this in BCTV Extra. The need is there, it is. But someone, and you'll tell me who, some group, got together and said, this need is this. and it's quantifiable, and we've got to step up and create something. I just think that is incredible. And tell us about that, the founding of this concept that has led to this next opportunity. Jessica,
the maternity home or Providence Pregnancy Center?
Providence Pregnancy Center.
Well, okay. So if we go back to the beginning and how we founded this, it was actually right at where there was a leak in the Roe v. Wade decision. And there was a lot of violence around our country. People were angry on both sides. And I had contacted my priest, our pastor, Father Bergman at St. Thomas. And I said, I'm not sure what we need to do, but we have to respond to this in love. Like, how do we respond to this as Christians? I can't get ugly with them. It's just not going to produce anything good. So I said, how about we do this event and call it Life is Beautiful, and just celebrate life. Yeah. And just celebrate women and families and motherhood. And I had a friend who's a pro-life OBGYN who also speaks frequently. She does public speaking. So she had offered to come and give a little talk about her life, her testimony. And we had some musicians and raffle baskets. And so this was the concept. And I thought maybe we could raise money for a pregnancy center somewhere. And my friend, who's the OBGYN, works closely with a center in Philadelphia. So I thought maybe we could just give the money to them. And that's when Father Bergman said, well, that's great. And we do need to do this. I think the event is great. He said, but we need to have something like this here in Providence. Scranton needs it. He said, I've had women come to our rectory looking for help, and there's nowhere to send them. He's heard of, obviously we see the coercion that happens to women when they don't have the resources and are forced into making a decision, a permanent decision that has lifelong effects, right? And so really that's where it was born. We had this event. It was an incredible turnout. I think we raised a little over $10,000. And from that, there's been all these little nuggets of God's providence through the journey saying, keep going, keep going. Yeah. We need more. And like our little vision has turned into something much bigger beyond what I could have thought. I mean, I really just thought maybe having a little center somewhere and giving out diapers would have been our little corner of the world. We could do something. But God is showing us that he wants more, and he loves these women and he loves these children, and he's providing, he's bringing all these amazing people together for this mission. And even another part of our, of Providence Pregnancy Center that we've come to realize is a great need through doing this, even just through our volunteers and the people that are coming forward, is that there's a healing that needs to take place for men and women who have chosen abortion and are carrying that burden. So that's another arm of Providence Pregnancy Center. And I would love to just, touch on that for anyone who's watching this, who's experienced that pain of abortion, that you're not alone and that there is help and that there's healing and restoration.
And you're not a pariah.
What's that?
You're not a pariah either. You've made a decision. We think it's wrong. You may think it's right, whatever, but we love you. Right.
It's all operating out of the basis of love. It doesn't matter, if you made that decision, it doesn't matter. You still deserve respect and healing and the whole 9 yards. And that's what we're here to offer. And like she was saying, what we're finding as we're going along, we started with this little tiny vision, and God kept stalling us there until this opportunity for this center that we have now, which we weren't even considering. We were going to be shooting ourselves in the foot before we even opened the door because the need is so great. And God just kept saying, no, we got something bigger. We got something bigger. We got something bigger. And then this opportunity is before us now to go into something much bigger. But all of the things that tentacle out from that, like she's saying, the abortion. And one of the things that I would like to see down the road, like once we get this up and running, is more support beyond this. So they come and they stay with us for a year. Then what? To be able to continue on with things that will offer young women who do have children or multiple children safe, affordable housing, that they can, it's on a bus route or they have access to childcare, that they can feel that they're not being released and then they're going to flounder and fall. Like to continue on with that and support. We talked about this, like the call out to your listeners, the call out to men to step forward and help with the young men that are involved in this. Because what we're finding is a lot of these young women, they're scared. Obviously, they're scared. But the men, because they haven't been shown how to step up, how to, yes, is this going to be a scary 9 months? Is this going to be the hardest 9 months of your entire life? Yes, you bet your life it's going to be the hardest 9 months of your life. But when that child comes, the blessing that it can bring to you is enormous. And these men aren't being shown this. They aren't being taught this. And when this happens, they run scared, and the women are left on their own to try to do it themselves. You know what I mean? And
the
to have
outreach to the fathers.
The outreach to the fathers, I think, is going to be critical. So we're going to be trying to develop something like that, like down the road too, where fathers who have been subjected to the decision of abortion that maybe they didn't agree with are also hurting and healing just as much as women who have done it. They are hurting and they need healing. And men who don't know what to do with the situation that they're facing pregnancy, what do? They need actual concrete guys to say, hey, listen, here's a plan. Like, let's help you out with this.
Well, we've only got a few seconds left, but Providence Pregnancy Center has its work cut out for it. In today's society, flowing against going against the flow.
Yes.
And doing important work. I said this to Jessica Freyne on the radio show. I said, well, the one thing I can say is thank you, and you're doing God's work. So please,
with a lot of support from the community. I don't know if I can just name this.
We're going to do that
support.
in BCTV.
Yes, okay, great.
BCTV Extra. We will join you for BCTV Extra because there's so much more to talk about. But for now, thanks for being with us here on the Bob Cordaro Show on TV. We'll see you next Sunday at 11:30 a.m. on WNEP TV.
Road Scholar Transport, a higher standard.
We concluded with all of the missions. And, mission creep is a negative term, which we've used in geopolitical terms, but it's a very positive one in this aspect. You're finding as you fill one need, well, we can't stop there.
Yeah.
We fill this need, we can't stop there. And now you're looking at not just helping people who have immediate pregnancy issues, not just people who have children out of wedlock or alone, but those who maybe made a different choice previously. And the husbands, was so happy to hear that in the regular portion of the show, that you're looking at that aspect as well, because the fathers are walking away and they're not learning any responsibility, and they're as much the reason for this child as anybody else, so they have as much or more duty. I was very impressed to hear that's part of the mission. Do you see this? I mean, I see it evolving and going farther and farther, because raising children, we just had this recent crisis where we discovered the underbelly of children living in abusive households, in horrible households. This can head all of that off, and probably we'll need to address it as well.
Absolutely. And that's really the mission. That's the heart. I think you just touched on the heart of the mission of Providence Pregnancy Center, which is to change the culture. So it's not just to address a crisis pregnancy or a mom who needs housing or a father who's been, carrying that burden of an abortion from 30 years ago and have not been able to grieve. It's all of it. It's changing the culture. It's changing the mindset. The thing I love about this, especially the maternity home, is that it's brought people together from all political sides. because what we're doing here,
It's not political.
It's not political.
it is not political.
It's about life. It's about
politicized.
quality of life. And that's right. It's been
And
politicized.
women and children have become political pawns, but they are not. They're not up for sale. They're not up for votes. It's our duty as a society to protect these moms and to protect these babies, regardless of where you stand. And I say, if you're pro-woman, then you're pro-Providence Pregnancy Center, regardless of where you stand on that.
Yeah.
So yes, the men have an incredible responsibility, but you can't just expect them to do it if they've never been modeled, if they have never been shown or modeled how to be a good man, how to be a protector, right? Their natural obligation as men, just like women, our natural role as women is to nurture and love, right? And that's been so mixed up right now in society that we don't even know what we're supposed to do anymore, right?
And we have generations that we're now seeing the effect of generations, those generations that have lost the fatherhood link coming forward, and they're floundering.
You've had really since the late 60s, you've had generations, maybe compounded after 15 to 17 years, and then 15 to 17 years, and then 15 and 17 years of unwed mothers, of broken households, of households that never existed.
Right.
And it's a monster vacuum from a societal standpoint. We're paying the price in so many ways. Are you optimistic about the mission? I mean, everything you do is important.
Yes.
Are you optimistic that it can be done? That's one heck of a big territory you've set out to take on.
Well, with God, all things are possible.
Yes. And I think one of the things that's great is we recognize the fact that we are instruments that we need to stay grounded in letting God work through us. It's not us doing this. It's God opening the doors. It's God telling us how to do this, what to do. And we constantly have to be centered in that in order for this to work. And everyone involved in it has to be centered in that, because if we're set on an agenda or set on a thing, then there's no room for growth. We are just set on love and being open to what he tells us to do. And everything else is going to flow out of that.
And like we've seen it in politics, almost where we feel helpless in the results and how things happen. And we're realizing more and more that on a local level, we need to change things more so than where we're just like a piece of sand on the beach, so this is our way of changing things on a very local level within our community with God. I mean, really, I am not equipped. I don't feel equipped to do this. I don't think anyone in our group is necessarily equipped to take this on. But I think that, or I know, and I really trust that God has given this to us because not to make us great people, because he really loves these women. So I don't have the ability. Like when you ask that question, but I know that God does.
Angela, you mentioned people who stepped up to the plate for Providence Pregnancy Center and this new project as well. Please feel free to mention some of them.
I do want to mention some of them, and I want to invite other businesses to get involved, because this is not a political issue. It is a community helping and growing to become an even better community. And that's all it is. And it takes every, as we are seeing.
There is no negative aspect.
There's no negative aspect to this.
Why I chose to have you on this program, because we don't do politics here.
Right.
And we do life. We do people are doing great things in the community, institutions that
and everybody can offer something to this, whether you have a trade that could be useful to help us out, whether you have resources that we could, whatever it is, there's something that everyone can do to help support this. We are the village, and we need to be the village that grows this. But we've had some amazing support. And like you said, we see God's love for these women. We also, everyone that's getting involved in this is, it's nudging something within them too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a grace and a outpouring of God's love on us personally and everybody that's got involved.
I can imagine you, if you get involved in something this important, that is this impactful upon people in such a direct way, it's got to benefit you as well.
And if everybody gets involved, it's not a heavy boulder. Everybody's doing the lifting, so it becomes.
We keep going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. So, like we mentioned, Pete and Giant Flooring. They've been awesome, Pete and Mark, and we have Dan Simrell, who's been very gracious with the advertising and helping us out there. City Line Cafe, Nicole and her husband Jack. We have enough supplies to probably run the center for a year once we get in there with how gracious they've been with supplies and personal items and maternity things.
All the things that require
all the things that we're required to stock the center. We just don't have the center yet. So that's our immediate need, is getting the funding to get to the closing for the center. And we have everything else pretty much in line. We have Jack Ruddy, Century 21, Jack Ruddy Real Estate has been very gracious, Krispy Kreme, the Hayden Power Group, Troy Mechanical, PA Pro-Life Federation, Bonnie and Tim Finnerty have been very, very wonderful, Fidelity Bank. We have a lot of other businesses coming on board once they're finding out about what we're doing. So we have all of the carts. We just have to get that
Scranton Area Foundation.
Yes, the Scranton Area Foundation. We are inviting any business that could help out, or even individuals. If you have skills that might be, applicable to what we're doing, any help. I mean, even simple things like when we have to move the pregnancy center to the other facility. Even just,
we need furniture, we need labor.
Yeah, we need labor, we need all kinds of stuff. So any way that you feel like you can help, reach out. We'll take the help.
What's your time frame for the new facility and the new center? Do you have a time frame?
Well, we have to close. We are trying to raise $107,000 before October 1st. We've already given $100,000 down. We needed $200,000 total in order to close, plus the closing costs, and we've raised right now about $23,000 since August 10th, I believe. So by October 1st, that's what we need in order to get the house in our possession. Once it's in our possession, then it's really left up to the renovations, how long the renovations will take, so we can get it up, up to par.
The labor, the materials, all the things you need.
Yes. And we've had a lot of gracious support there. But then also, too, if people don't want to be involved in that way and they still want to donate financially, we still are going to have the woman that had the home was gracious enough to take it off the market to allow us to get the amount of funds. But we still will have, our goal is to have the property paid off so we can focus all of our attention on the ministry. So there's still, an additional balance of $300,000 to meet that entire thing being paid off.
Yeah. And,
there's people out there that have the ability to do that. We just don't know them. And, if they want to support that, that's the ultimate goal, is to get that facility paid off enough that we can concentrate on the mission itself, because that's going to be, I'm sure she went over with you in the other program, the costs of just maintaining one mother and a child for a year. That's an enormous cost.
But I'm antsy. I have to say, I'm antsy because I'm getting women at the pregnancy center that, and without breaking confidentiality, that have an immediate need that I'm not able to help. And it's frustrating. It really is frustrating. It's sad to send somebody away who's pregnant, who's maybe in a domestic violence situation or an emotional abuse situation, or living in a homeless shelter in Scranton temporarily, or we're by like one woman, we had to drive to Good Counsel Homes in New York City because it wasn't anything local.
Yeah.
That just kind of hurts my heart because we have such a great community here. There's great business people. There's great, there's a lot of community organizations in Scranton. And so I just want to make this one of the needs that are met that isn't, but it has to happen. It has to happen soon.
Yeah.
Because it's not so, I mean, I know we need to talk about the renovations and the fundraising because it has to happen. But my ultimate goal is to get the doors open so that we can start serving these moms.
The need is there. The need is great. And the cause is great.
Thank you.
That's important. Give us, I mean, we've talked a little bit about it, but you could use volunteers.
Yes. Yep.
You can use money.
Skilled laborers.
Skilled labor.
Yeah. Like electric, plumbing, all that kind of stuff we're going to need. Yeah. And to be able to make this really, like like she was saying, there's a lot of entities in Scranton, but that we could all be on the same page and everybody work together. Because if we all were working together, this could be huger than we could imagine with the amount of help. Because everybody's focused on this little place does this, little place does this.
Do you find that there's a lot of silos that don't
interconnect
and communicate?
Yes.
And, okay, we do this and we do this.
And we're not in competition. We are in agreement that we are all trying to serve a greater need, and let's do it together. And we're not competing. It's not a competition thing. We've
had some good connections.
Yes.
So like we get referrals from WIC, we get referrals from the outreach center, neighborhood centers. So because there is a need, and they referring women to us, and we hope to refer to them as well. Yeah. So that networking is really important. Yeah. I'm not sure who's really isolated from us. I think for the most part, people are good and really want to.
Well, I don't mean intentionally. No, I just mean everybody's doing their own thing.
Just because they don't realize that
they have their own headaches
exists. Yes.
Doing their organization and their mission.
Exactly. When you take on any kind of cause like this, nonprofit, I mean, it's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. And the only way that it's lessened is by support, by community support. Yeah. Volunteers, like you mentioned, volunteers, we're going to need volunteers at the center. So if somebody had a heart and wanted to work with women directly, we have a training program available for that. Obviously skilled labor and even just painters. If you don't have to be, you don't have to own a company. If you want to just come and paint a room, or you have a bedroom set that you'd like to donate to help a mom in need. There's so many ways. I'd say everyone has their, within their capacity, a way to jump into this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, you've undertaken an important mission, a big and ever expanding mission. I will tell you, particularly after today, there'll be a lot of people rooting for you and hoping to help. And I hope all of you, or many of you, step up. You know what this is now. You know what the Providence Pregnancy Center is about. You know where they're trying to go, who they're trying to help, how critical that need is, how important that need is for the community at large, never mind the individuals in question. Jessica, Angela, is just so happy to have you with us today. And I'm guessing we're going to have to do this again.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing light to this.
Yes.
I mean, God bless you for having us on and giving us an opportunity to talk about this. It's important.
And we could take time off politics on the radio show to talk about this too. So you're welcome, as I said today, you're welcome anytime on the radio.
Thank you. Because I think as we move forward, it would be, and that's a very gracious offer, and we will take you up on that, because I think in the future, as we move into different phases, it will be important to let the community know what's going on and let them know.
They just don't know.
Right.
They don't know. I don't think a lot of people, to continue the discussion on BCTV Extra, a lot of people, we're walled off from this need. We're with our families and we get together for holidays. And I'll say this on the radio, when a major holiday comes up, there's a lot of people not celebrating the way we envision it. The family around the Thanksgiving table. There's a lot of people that don't enjoy that don't have that.
It's a stress
this is
for them.
what it's for. Yeah. This is what you do, is to fill that gap and to hopefully, God willing, to teach them how to have that family around the Thanksgiving table down the road. That's a big, important job.
Yeah, many of these women have never really experienced true love. And you can't give love, right? You can't offer love. You can't be restored without experiencing love. So we hope to do that in whatever little way we can while they're with us.
Well, talk about Providence. Your location is in the Providence section of Scranton.
Yes.
But it is quite providential.
Yep. See how God works? He's got a great sense of humor.
Well, Angela, Jessica, thank you again. Great having you on the TV show and on BCTV Extra. I hope that the people who are watching this understand what it is and spread the word about the great stuff you're doing.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you,
Thank
Bob.
you. We'll see you again. It's the Bob Cordaro Show.
Thanks for being part of the program. You've got an appointment every Sunday morning at 11:30 right here on WNEP TV. The Bob Cordaro Show on TV.
They fought for us, now he'll fight for you. The pursuit of justice and liberty. It's the Bob Cordaro Show on TV.